Hello there, I'm Artistic Gamer 7 and welcome back to another speed build here on the channel. With this speed build, I did actually have a picture for inspiration, but the picture was only of the front of the house. It's the thing with a lot of the pictures that I do potentially use for inspiration. A lot of times it's only of one angle of the house. So a lot of times I end up meshing different pieces of houses, from pictures of houses, or I just guess around from what the front is doing on what maybe I want to do with the back, which is what I did with here. So I only used the one picture as reference, and the rest of it, the whole inside of it, I just did whatever, and like the back half of it, which is actually pretty plain, but considering like the size of this and how it was shaped, I didn't want to do too much actually in the back compared to like what the front was doing. So yeah, I did all that just sort of thinking myself. So, the beginning here may seem strange with how I'm doing these platforms and things like that. And I will say, like, playing around with platforms can be somewhat annoying, especially when you have different heights. And you start building walls, and it seems like it's like, oh, I want to raise the level of this platform because you've built this wall here, so I think it needs to be this big. So I have to, like, keep playing around with the platforms as I build walls and stuff, which is quite annoying at times, but oh well. Gotta deal with what I have here. But yeah, I had quite a bit of fun doing this build, but I will say, this build did run into one big issue pretty early on, or semi-early on. I've been a little bit better at saving my game more often when I'm playing and building and stuff like that. And when I'm playing, like when it's in live mode, I actually have a function that knows to like auto-save the game because I've set that function on my MC. But in build mode, it doesn't pop up usually for that, but at the same time, like, I've gotten better at saving more often. But at the same time, I truly have, like, a bad sense of time. And the more I, like, thought about it, the more, like, I realized, like, how bad it can be. Because sometimes, and I know, like, everyone sort of does this, but I do this more often, and it's not something that I notice I do until, like, I think about it. But I really lose track of time so easily. Like, what feels like 30 minutes to me sometimes is actually, like, 2 hours or 10 minutes. I never, like, it's different and random, and I know there's the sense of, like, oh, time flies when you're having fun, and yeah, that is a thing, but at the same time, there's still some differences in that meaning. But yeah, I really didn't think I was building for that long while I was doing this, but I actually ended up losing, like, the first 2-3 hours worth of the build because I went to, like, there was a couple of days that the power started having issues, and this was the first day, so it hadn't been having issues yet. So, you know, if I was having power issues, I would say, like, when the power seems to be acting funny, I save, like, every 10 minutes. But it hadn't just started yet during this build, but it was about ready to, but obviously I didn't know that, and I had to run to the bathroom. And while I was in the bathroom, the power flickered enough. Because it's really weird, because sometimes the power flickers and not everything in my room goes off. My TV and my air conditioner are like the first two things that will go off. But my computers will sometimes stay on. And certain systems, like my PlayStation is more likely to turn off quicker than my Switch if it's docked. And the Xbox, for whatever reason. Like, if they were all powered on at the same time and the power flickers, most likely my Switch and my Xbox are still good. My PlayStation, probably not. Probably a shut off, so, you know, it's gonna yell at me when I turn it back on because it's gonna be like, it didn't power off correctly, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, because I totally knew this power outage was gonna happen. PlayStation, shush! Anyway. But yes, but it was like a full-on flicker, like it was enough that everything in my room went off. I lost this build, like the first half of it. So what you're seeing now is the footage from it, because I had stopped the recording because I'd had the recording going for so long, and sometimes I like to refresh my recording software every once in a while, so that's what I was gonna do. Plus, I was planning on potentially getting food, but stupid me didn't save before I went to the bathroom. So I came back down here to save, or I was going to, before I got food, but as I was in the kitchen thinking about, oh, I should go save my game, is when the power goes off. So, yeah. So what you're seeing is the actual first recording, because I had stopped the recording, but I hadn't hit save on my game, which is still my fault for not doing that. But not any less annoying that the power went out. So yeah, this is the original footage, this is the original build. And then eventually there's a certain part where it's technically a new build, but I used my recording to actually redo the build. So there might be a few differences here and there, and also as I redid it, there was like certain things that I was like, oh wait, I should do this instead. And also during the recording, the upstairs bedroom, one side of the wall, I forgot to put the windows back on when I rebuilt the build. So as I'm decorating, it's not occurring to my brain that there's not a window where there's supposed to be a window, so I'm just decorating, trying to make that blank wall not look quite as blank, because I'm like, oh man, this wall's blank, I want something here. Yeah, there's supposed to be a window there, but no, I'm stupid me, forgot to put the window back there. But I noticed it during screenshots, so I fix it and add the window back in, and you'll see that at the screenshots, which are at the end of the video, by the way. Also, having to redo this house, the most annoying thing was the plants. So, when doing this, the picture that I used did obviously have plants in some of these spots, but there wasn't a whole lot of plants, and it was actually very sparse, so I don't know if this picture was taken, like, early spring, or in winter, late fall, like, you know, during those months where a lot of, like, flowers and stuff like that aren't as beautiful. But it also almost looked like there was, like, weeds or grass in it, so, you know, maybe this is a house that no one took care of this front of the section. But I thought the overall shape and stuff looked interesting and cool and sort of fun to play with. But I did add a lot more floral than what the picture had. And I wasn't going to at first, but then I just, as I was putting these flowers and these plants down, I was like, I want to keep adding more. I think it would look better if I had more. So, when I had to go back and redo the plants, that was semi-annoying. Because I had to redo a lot of this, so the plants are definitely not going to look exact. I did try to remember to use the same plants and, like, those big, some of the bigger plants that it's obvious to see where they were. I did try to put in a similar area, but overall, you know, I just did a random spursing of plants again, and just try to make it look good and semi-like what I was going for in the first place. But I ended up calling this the GeoFloral home. I tend to always name my homes less of what type of style of architecture they are and just more of like a theme that I was going with them. This theme probably is leaning towards the modern side if I had to guess, but considering there was a lot of squares and hard angles and rectangles and stuff like that, that's why I decided to go with geo, sort of like a geometric thing. Because other than when you start adding the furniture, the overall build of the house and like the windows and stuff like that have very hard square rectangle vibes going on with them. So I went with that, and then with all the plants that I ended up putting out in the front and around and stuff, I was like, you know, floral, GeoFloral. Yeah, there we go. So that is the process of what I use sometimes to make my names for my houses. Because I don't understand architecture very well, I really have a hard time telling different things apart. And this honestly just isn't with houses, and I talk about this almost every time I do a build, but it's seriously true, and I don't know if my brain just has a hard time comprehending it, what about my brain is like this. But when it comes to these, like, different styles of things, I have a really hard time differentiating them sometimes. Like, there's some that I obviously am like, yeah, I can obviously tell this belongs in that, and this belongs in that. But overall, I still struggle. So, knowing the difference in between certain types of homes and things like that, and different types of fashion styles and music, I sometimes struggle because my brain just doesn't know. So when building, I'm never knowing and I'm also never going in thinking, I want to build this particular style home. I'm going to build this particular style home. No. I'm not going in like, oh, I'm going to build a Victorian. Oh, I'm going to build something modern. I'm going to build something, what is it, Georgia? There's one that's like, almost sounds like Georgia in a way that I recently heard about. I'm not going in thinking those, farmhouse or cottage or whatever. Sometimes I try to guess, or, you know, if it's my personal interpretation of one, yeah, but I don't try to do that too much. Just because the fact that I don't know different houses apart. So I'm like, I don't want to name this wrong, and then everyone be like, this is not what this style of house is. I mean, in the end, I wouldn't care. If it's not the style of house I think it is, go ahead and feel free to tell me. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But at the same time, I'm at least going to try not to misinterpret a house. So a lot of times I'm just like, yeah, no, we're just going to give it some name, some random name. So yeah, anyway, I of course, like usual, did take out when I was putting down like the floor plan and the wallpaper and the lighting. You could see that as I'm doing the furniture and as the screenshots are going off. If y'all ever would prefer me to start keeping those in, let me know down in the comments below, or if at least you would like me to keep one or the other. Like if you don't care if I take away doing the lighting and the wallpaper, but you'd at least like to see me putting the walls up, let me know or something down below. But otherwise, I put them out because like the fact that you can sort of see them and get an idea of them from the rest of the video and from the screenshots, I'm not as worried about them. And I also typically take out the bathrooms. Though with this particular build, that was not my intention. It's the fact that while I was recording, I actually forgot to do the bathrooms. I didn't even remember to do the master bathroom, so that bathroom's not even in the video, but it is in the screenshots. So you'll see the master bathroom in the screenshots. I apologize. I don't know why I forgot the bathroom, but this isn't the first time that I have forgotten the bathrooms. I don't know why. My brain really does work in some strange ways. But yeah. So I take them out so that when I have speeded up, I don't have to speed it up as much. Because one, I'm really afraid of speeding my videos up too much and like causing motion sickness for someone. But also because like I haven't got a good control over making sure not to move my screen quite as much. So some people I know in the building world can actually know not to move their screen too much, and I try, but a lot of times I forget, and I'm not really conscious of it. I do try, but I know that I don't do too well at not moving the camera too much. For that reason, there's certain cases where I know that I have moved the camera too much to speed it up to a certain extent. I don't want to speed too much up, so that's why I remove some things, and I try not to split my build videos up into 2 parts. I'm also afraid of making my videos too long, so I do, and like, you know, trying to not split them up. So I always ask this, but definitely always feel free to tell me what length you prefer watching speed builds, and do you care if they're split up in 2 parts. I do know that I've had one comment about it, but you know, feel free to also add in as well. The more people that give me info, the more likely I am to figure out a better way of doing things. So, yeah. Anyway, this video is a little bit on the longer side, but I did decide to just do it in one go. Especially now that I am doing, like, my random builds once a week. So, I mean, once every other week. So, less likely for me to do multiple parts if I can avoid it, and if I do, I probably will try to upload them in the same day. So basically that means 3 videos in one day, but one of the videos is Legend of Zelda and the other video would be Sims building things. So anyway, on to this actual build. So once I went on the inside, I played around with some of the color schemes, but at the same time tried to let them flow into each other. So there is a lot of these different tans, creams, sort of like some rust tones, and also like, you know, playing around with a lot of wood tones in general, but adding some whites and stuff like that. In the dining room, I have more darker colors, like I even have like some black in there. Then I move into the kitchen and I start adding some lighter tones. The living room, which is sort of open to the kitchen, like it's not open, but like you could still see the kitchen and the living room from each other, starts adding like some actual colors. I'm trying to think of what, it's like a bluish green color, but it's dark. So I'm trying to think of what color that technically is, what that best represents that color. But yeah, I start adding a few different other colors into there, but ultimately still trying to keep them sort of tied in together. I didn't want to use as much white and black inside, that's why I sort of brought in these tans, so it still sort of matches in with the outside, but not completely. It's basically like I reversed it. On the outside, there's a lot of white and black, and with some hints of tans, while on the inside, there's more tans with hints of white and black. That's sort of what I did. And then I added like a pop of color when it came to the living room area thing. There is 3 bedrooms. There is like 2 bedrooms that could be kids' rooms, or you could turn them into guest rooms. One of them looks like it could be both, either a guest or a kid's room, like even if you didn't change it really. But it would be like the older kid of them. Maybe a kid who is already moved out but comes back every once in a while. Sort of like that sort of feel to it in a way. And then the other one is a more younger kid's room. I do make like a little laundry space that's in the like stairs area. There's also a bathroom near the stairs area. Upstairs is just the master bedroom, the master bath, and a balcony. So that is like, you know, they have that whole upstairs section to themselves, whoever's into the master suite area. So I had a lot of fun doing this house, and I'm actually really, really proud of this house. I love the outside of it so much, because it's like, it's got some similar vibes to like one house I built before, but at the same time, it's a little bit different, and I feel like it's more put together and more structured well and more pleasing to the eye than some of the builds that I've done in the past, or like more interesting, I guess I would be the better description. Because I feel like sometimes, like, my builds are not eye-catching, or whatever, like, they're just eh. I know I'm not a horrible builder at this point. I don't think I'm horrible. I just don't think I'm great either. But I'm always still pretty happy with my builds, and pretty proud of them. But I'm especially proud of this one, because I really like the outside. The outside of it is, like, one of my favorite things. So when taking the screenshots, I really enjoyed how the outside looked and stuff like that, and I hope you do as well. And I have already mentioned the name of this build, but I do always forget to mention early on that you can download this build on the gallery if you want. It's on my gallery, Artistic Gamer 7. It's going to be the GeoFloral home. I always will have the name in the description of the video, so if you forget it, you can easily just scroll down in the description of the video instead of having to wait for me to say it, because, you know, like I said, sometimes I forget until mid-end video before I mention this. But yeah, so you can either search up my origin ID, which is, like I said, Artistic Gamer 7, the name of the home, which is the GeoFloral home, and you can even search hashtags like Artistic Gamer 7 or AG7, because I tend to put those on all of my builds. So there's just some options to find this build if you would like to use it for yourself. All my other builds are also up there as well. This build is CC free, so there's no CC in it. I don't know what packs I did and didn't use. I have a bad habit of going in with all the packs on and not really trying to limit myself to one pack, and I know to some degree that makes it limiting for people to download, because if you don't have those specific packs. But one thing that might help you there is you can actually, when you go on a build on the gallery and see all the packs that are in there, you can click on a pack that you don't have under that build, and then you can actually click, I'm pretty sure it's on the right side of the little box, items used in this build, and it will bring up items that is in that build from that pack. And you can sort of see how many it is. If it's only like one item, you could probably really easily replace that with an item from another pack, or if you have your own CC. So that's always something you could look at as well. I will say I do tend to like try to keep a mental note of which packs I'm using the most, and then I start avoiding packs that I haven't used yet if I can remember which ones I hadn't used anything from. So there should be a pretty high chance that not every single pack is used, and some packs will have very, very few items used. So definitely always check out how many items from that pack is actually there, so that you can potentially easily replace it with something else if you really do like this build. Anyway, I'll let y'all guys know that I just literally sat here for like 5 to 10 minutes staring at my computer because my mind blanked out so hard. There's no real point in me telling y'all that. I just felt like actually mentioning the fact that my brain blanked out so hard. Like, I was so intently staring at my keyboard, and I don't even remember if I was fully thinking and what I was actually thinking. Anyway, back to the build here. I just seen me using one of my favorite paintings, but I don't know, did I change the colors on it? It almost didn't look like I changed the colors on it. Like, it was all the same painting, because that painting has, how many color variations? I think it has 4 color variations, and for each color variation, it has 4 different paintings for, which you can actually connect to make one big picture, or you can, like, play around with it. I almost never connect it. But, oh wait, no, I did change them. Never mind, I did change them. It is the different pictures in that color variation. Anyway, but yeah, I at first it looked like I didn't change it. But I did. I did change it. I did. Now, this was before the paranormal stuff pack came out, so I didn't have any of that stuff to build with. I feel like I would have actually used some of those items in this build, especially with some of the colors I used in the living room. Probably would have been pretty fitting. But if you're not aware, if you didn't see my update video and you haven't watched a few of the other videos that have come out in the month of March, and like the very, very, very end of February, I actually was having like some health issues and side effects from new medication and having to try a different medication, and like most of February was not fun for me. So I was absent on the channel pretty much most of February, and this was built early January or early or mid-January, and I had it ready to like processed off of my recording software and like started the editing, but did not finish the editing of it, like going through the footage to actually like take out any of the dead spaces or parts that I don't think need to be left in the video. I started it but hadn't finished it. So I'm getting around to actually finishing this video and recording the voiceover. So, and I was actually really looking forward to showing this house. So I'm sort of sad that it took so long to actually show this house, but yeah. Anyway, so none of the paranormal stuff is not in the game at the point, and neither are any of the kits. I actually still haven't bought any of the kits. I'm still sort of waiting on the kits. Like, I want them, and I want to give them a try, but they've had quite a few issues with other people's things. And in some ways, I'm also curious to see if they ever will try to put the kits on any sorts of sales, because where they are so low at the moment. But at the same time, when you really think about it, it seems like they might be a little overpriced compared to what I think they should be, because they're almost supposed to be like the 3 individual parts of a stuff pack. So like the build part of a stuff pack, the gameplay part of a stuff pack, and the cast part of a stuff pack. But when you compare it to stuff packs, even some of the earlier stuff packs where we didn't get as much, because I know the earlier ones we didn't get nearly as much as like compared to like the paranormal stuff. But even when you compare it to those, the items are quite less. And a stuff pack is $10 and these are $5, which means you're paying $15 for all 3 of them if you get all 3 of them. Which means you're paying more than just a stuff pack. So part of me feels like they should have been even cheaper, potentially. I don't know if they ever will let it go cheaper, or maybe future kits will actually have more in them after some of the feedback. I don't know. Over time we'll see, but I am sort of curious to see if they ever do go on sale. I've also waiting on the Star Wars pack to go on sale again, and it may have went on sale again since it came out and since the last time it was on sale, and I've just missed it and hadn't noticed it because I don't check every day. I don't, but if I was happened to see it on sale, then I would potentially get it, not for like a short discount off. I want it to go back to like 50% off before I buy the Star Wars pack. But I do plan on trying to get the Star Wars pack and also get the kits. But I'm just waiting for a better time to get said packs. So yeah, none of that stuff's in here. At least you know that's not in here. But yeah, and I also find it funny that in some of my recent, like, not my recent technically, because where I basically didn't upload for most of February, but some of my last builds, so like if you go to the build playlist and you check out some of the last builds, I start talking about how I get into these themes where I start doing the house in darker tones and lighter tones, but I can't seem to get into those groupings all at once, so I do like a bunch of houses in darker tones for a while, and then a bunch of houses in lighter tones, but I can't seem to switch it up. I feel like I sort of did it with this one, because I feel like the inside of it has a lot more darker tones in it, but the outside has a more lighter tone feel to it. So I did both, right? Does it count? I don't know if it counts. But if not, then the outside, you'd mainly go by the outside, which is mostly lighter tones. But I do have black there. I feel like, you know, I got a pretty good mix of not just settling for just darker or just lighter tones. I think I got a mix here in this house. Now for the remainder of the video, I think I'm just gonna let some music play here in a moment after I stop talking. So I'm not gonna be talking during the whole video, and I'll let music play for the ending half of it, which is gonna be mostly the screenshots. I hope you do like this build. Let me know down in the comments below, what is your favorite part about this build? Mine personally is just the outside, like the view from the front. So the curb appeal, I guess, is what you can go for. That is my favorite part about this house personally. I really like the outside and how it looks from like the street view and stuff. So I'm like really happy and really excited and proud for that front part. Don't get me wrong, I do actually like the whole house as a whole. So I love the inside. I like the dipped down dining room. It's the only room in the whole entire house that is dipped down, but I like that. And technically it's on the same level as the front porch sort of area, but there's a little step up from that to get to the front door that goes into the rest of the house. So the rest of the house is technically like a little step higher than that front porch area, but then the dining room is level with that front porch area, so you go down from the kitchen. So the dining room is still open completely because it's not even an archway. I just have like the two columns, which sort of make it look almost like an archway, but it's still quite open to the kitchen, but it's a very obvious divide in separate rooms because of that dip down. So I do also really like that. That was a little fun thing that I did with this, but overall the outside is my #1 favorite part about this house. But I'd like to hear, what is your favorite part about this house? And also definitely still try to keep giving me feedback on how to do my speed build videos. If you don't mind the longer videos, or you don't mind them being split up, just let me know down in the comments below. Any feedback is always nice to have, in all honesty, because I enjoy doing these videos, but I also want you all to enjoy them as well. So if I can fix it for it to be even better for you all, that's great. Anyway, if you do like this video and you like the build, you know what to do. Hit that lovely like button. Subscribe if you're not already, so that you don't miss out on future builds and other stuff on the channel. I'm not going to be having quite as many builds as I used to have, but there's other stuff on the channel. I have LP series revolving around Sims. I have LP series revolving around other games. I have Create a Sim series as well. So feel free to also check out some of those videos down below. Like I mentioned, there is a build playlist if you want to go check out some of my older builds. If you have, like, you're new to the channel or whatever, or you just have recently been joining the channel so you know that you haven't seen some of the older ones, there is a Sims 4 build playlist down below. I also have a separate build playlist, which is the haunted builds playlist, but I think those builds are also still included in the regular builds playlist. So if you just go to the regular builds playlist, they should all still be there, no matter what. So you can go and see any of the builds that I've built here on my channel. I would suggest not really paying attention to like the first 5, because that was my worst building that I've done on the channel. So, but you can still feel free to watch those if you really want to, but they're not as good. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye! Enjoy the rest of the video, the screenshots, and the music. Yay!